World number 11 Alexandrova ends Eala's impressive run at Abu Dhabi. Abu Dhabi second seed ousts Filipina rising star in quarterfinals of WTA 500 tournament. Unable to really find her footing, Eala was swiftly reminded why Ekaterina Alexandrova is the second seed in Abu Dhabi. The Filipina rising star ranked number 45 in the world struggled to keep up with the world number 11 Russian throughout their quarterfinal clash at the WTA 500 Mubadala Abu Dhabi Open, falling 6-3, 6-3, late Thursday night, Manila time. Read Eala gives a face to overseas Filipinos' battle against the odds. Eala was coming off an epic comeback in a three-setter against Alexandra Sasnovich less than 24 hours earlier, but looked nowhere as sharp as she fell in straight sets to the tournament's second seed in 1 hour and 30 minutes. Although the loss ended Eala's singles run in Abu Dhabi, her campaign continues in the doubles quarterfinals alongside fellow Southeast Asian Janice Tien. The trailblazing Filipina competes next at the WTA 1000 Qatar Open, pressing her pursuit of a first WTA Tour title. Eala fell behind early as Alexandrova raced to a 4-1 lead in the opening set, dictating play from the baseline. The Filipina steadied briefly and pulled back to 3-5, but the Russian closed the door quickly. In the second set, Eala struck first, only for Alexandrova to reel off 3 straight games and take control. Eala fought back to level at 3-3, but the 31-year-old again pulled away by winning the last 3 games. Get more of the latest sports news and updates on spin.ph. Notice on unauthorized and unlawful use, publication, and/or dissemination of spin.ph content. Please be notified that any unauthorized and unlawful use, publication, and/or dissemination of spin.ph's content and/or materials is a direct violation of its legal and exclusive rights to the same, and shall be subject to appropriate legal action/s. World number 11 Alexandrova ends Eala's impressive run in Abu Dhabi. The night air in Abu Dhabi carried a quiet electricity, the kind that settles over a stadium when something unexpected has already happened, and might happen again. Eala walked onto the court not as a wide-eyed newcomer, but as the revelation of the week. Each step carried the echoes of the matches she had already won, each swing of her racket backed by belief that had grown louder with every point she claimed. Across the net stood Ekaterina Alexandrova, world number 11, a player forged in the steadier fires of the professional tour. She had been here before, in these moments when crowds lean forward and stories threaten to write themselves. Experience sat on her shoulders like a well-worn jacket, heavy, but familiar. From the opening rally, the contrast was unmistakable. Eala played with the urgency of someone chasing a dream before it could wake her. Her shots were bold, her movement sharp, her eyes fixed on the lines as though daring them to move. She had already turned heads all week in Abu Dhabi, dismantling expectations and opponents alike, proving that her rise was not theoretical, but very real. Alexandrova, meanwhile, played with restraint that bordered on patience. She absorbed the pace, redirected the angles, and waited. She knew this rhythm, the early storm, the crowd's growing affection for the underdog, the sense that momentum alone might decide the match. She did not rush to silence it. She let it breathe. For a stretch, Eala gave the audience everything it hoped for. She chased down balls that should have been winners. She stepped inside the baseline and took risks that made people gasp before they applauded. When she struck cleanly, the sound of the ball seemed sharper, louder, as if announcing her presence to the rest of the tennis world. But tennis, at its highest levels, is a game of layers. Alexandrova began to peel them back. Point by point, she tested Eala's timing. She varied the depth. She asked uncomfortable questions. Can you win this rally twice? Can you defend and attack in the same breath? Can you stay brave when the margin shrinks? The answers didn't come all at once. There were moments when Eala surged again, when the crowd sensed a shift and leaned into the possibility of another chapter in her fairy tale. She fought for every game, refusing to let the match slip quietly away. Even when points went against her, her body language remained defiant, her belief intact. Yet Alexandrova's calm never cracked. She served with authority when it mattered most. She chose her moments to strike, her power measured rather than unleashed. The rallies grew heavier, the exchanges more demanding, and slowly, almost imperceptibly, the match tilted. This was where ranking revealed its meaning, not as a number, but as a reflection of lessons learned the hard way. Alexandrova had lost matches like this before. She had been the talented player overwhelmed by expectation, the favorite rattled by fearlessness. Now, she stood on the other side of that memory. When the final points arrived, they did not feel abrupt. They felt earned. Alexandrova closed the door with professionalism, acknowledging the moment without drama. A nod, a steady walk to the net, a handshake that carried respect rather than triumph. She had done her job, but she knew she had shared the stage with someone stepping into her own. Eala lingered for a moment, taking in the applause that rose for her even in defeat. It was not the sound of consolation, it was recognition. Abu Dhabi had seen something new this week, something promising. Her run had not ended in disappointment, but in definition. Losses like this do not erase belief, they refine it. As the crowd filtered out under the desert sky, the narrative felt unfinished in the best possible way. Alexandrova moved on, her campaign intact, her status reaffirmed. Eala walked away with something harder to quantify but just as valuable, proof that she belonged, that her tennis could stand toe-to-toe with the game's elite. In the end, Abu Dhabi did not crown a surprise champion that night, but it witnessed the quiet arrival of a contender. And sometimes, that is how the most important stories begin.